We are learning Tiger Woods' arraignment is scheduled for April 23rd at 8:30 in the morning in Stuart, Florida, per court records. It is currently unclear whether Tiger Woods is required to attend. He has posted bond, although the amount remains unknown. Tiger Woods faces 2 charges: driving under the influence, causing damages, and refusing to submit a lawful test. So it's interesting because, Lisa, you and I were talking about, okay, so he blew a 0 on the alcohol test, but he didn't want to give another different type of test that would tell us more toxicology-wise what was in his blood system.
Wait, so, maybe this is why, that he had these pills in his pocket, allegedly.
Hydrocodone.
Right.
That's right, he had 2 pills.
That would lead you to believe that that might be the reason why he denied the urine test. We know that he has had some issues with these painkillers in the past. He's had a lot of injuries as well. We know that a lot of Americans struggle with opioid issues as well. So, look, his lawyers are going to try to argue that he wasn't under the influence. He's being charged with a DUI, and then the police have said that his eyes were bloodshot. Obviously, there were things that led them to believe that he was under the influence, and then now you have this, so that would reinforce that argument. So he'll have his day in court, and we'll see what ultimately happens there.
So I'm reading through the report, and we all have it on our phones at this point. Prior to being instructed to begin this test that he had to, finger-to-nose test, Woods closed his eyes and tilted his head back. When he was told to begin, Woods tilted his head back, but did not close his eyes and had to be reminded to do so. What do you make of it?
I think what's going to happen here is his attorneys will, make arguments that these tests aren't admissible in court. They'll try to get rid of them, and ultimately make the argument that particularly some of the other tests, like refusing to participate in a more analysis like a breathalyzer or a urine test, that can't be held against him. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they would be able to introduce anything related to the 2017 DUI, which also at the time focused on likelihood of impairment based on drugs, not necessarily alcohol at that point in time. How much history could play into this? Regardless of what the lawyers do, what the court does, there's a lot of public opinion on this, and a lot of people that are looking back at this nearly 9 years ago, roughly nearly a decade ago, and wondering about how long these problems have been continuing in his life, and watching this very closely. I think ultimately it's very sad, and I think Lisa raised a great point about the struggles many Americans feel, but also the importance of personal responsibility. Yeah. You can have these struggles without getting behind the wheel of a car.
Wow, I'm just thankful he didn't kill anybody, because he said he got close to that vehicle because he was looking down at his phone and he was distracted by his radio.
Yeah, responsibility, that's the key. We have a great responsibility in many aspects of our lives. Certainly, you get behind the wheel of a car, there's a great responsibility. And to even think of getting behind the wheel of a car, the steering wheel of a car, being impaired in any fashion is a lack of responsibility. And we should have, this is very common. It happens all the time in society, yet his stature is what brings it to light right now, regrettably. And the responsibility is absolutely key. I mean, I'd give you my phone right now, and you can look at it because I'm responsible with my phone and everything else, and I have no problem with you looking at any aspect of my life.
Wow.
And regrettably, that's not how society in general acts. Why would you refuse a test? You're trying to hide something, regardless. I mean, you should have a life of an open book. And if you're putting yourself in a situation not being responsible where you have to hide things, that's very sad.
Also on your phone are multiple apps where you can call a Lyft or an Uber or a ride. Just one idea.
Yeah. And he has said that he wanted to drive himself places for privacy. But, I made this point yesterday, Emily, with all of his money, sign an NDA with somebody and pay them $1 million to wait in your driveway. He certainly can afford it.
That's right. He has plenty of options that he ignored, allegedly all of them. Celebrities aren't all equal, but we just saw this here in this state where Justin Timberlake was initially charged with criminal charges in terms of what was in his system and driving while impaired. Now that was reduced. He pled to something that makes it essentially a driving infraction, right? So it's not criminal at all. And in doing so, paid a fine, will be on the hook for community service and the like. So I posit this, that I predict something like that will happen here. I think he will sort of escape any type of criminal impact. However, there might be professional impact, because he has certainly made a huge name and legacy for himself within a sport that is now demanding, I think, more accountability by his peers. And when you've lost your peers, we have Johnny Manziel and a lot of people on the PGA Tour that are weighing in and saying, you know what, this guy clearly needs help and we're praying for him, but he also needs some accountability because he's gotten away with a lot of this. And thank God there weren't more serious injuries other than to himself the last time. Well,
and would that accountability be retirement? I mean, that's a conversation that's being had, and it's public. Look, at one point, here's what one of the deputies there. Woods removed his sunglasses and ball cap, and once he did that, I observed his eyes to be bloodshot and glassy. I observed his pupils to be extremely dilated. I asked Tiger Woods if he consumed any type of alcoholic beverage to drink today, to which he stated none. And the conversation goes on. And he says, I asked Woods if he consumed any prescription medication, to which he stated, I take a few. So it's, I mean, this is a situation, it's not his first time even with a car rollover. And I hope he gets help. Yeah, indeed. Definitely.
I think we should send more men to space. You're very, very responsible.
I like the way they come back.
Yeah, we need the captain to have.
You're like, take my phone, do whatever you want. And I'm thinking about all this stuff I have on my phone, like, my weight. Like, give me back my phone.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.